We love these buildings because we can secure triple net leases. A triple net lease is a special type of lease. The tenant is going to pay us a base rent. In this example, it says the revenue is $7,275 a month. That's with triple net factored in. The base rent is $6,000 a month, but above and beyond the base rent that they pay us an extra $1,275 a month because that is the triple net expenses. Triple net expenses are property taxes, insurance, common area maintenance. We, on most of our buildings, are not paying for the property taxes, insurance, and common area maintenance. Because we're not paying for those, it allows us to increase our profits to the bottom line. That's why we love light industrial buildings or commercial buildings. The building that I'm standing in right now, it's a building in our portfolio that we own, about 64,000 square feet. We don't pay maintenance, we don't pay property taxes, we don't pay insurance because it's all covered by the tenants. Triple net leases are why we love these types of buildings. In years past, what's called a gross lease, which is where you're just taking the revenue that comes in and subtracting your expenses from it, there was a time where that was the standard. Today, it's not the standard. Today, triple net is slowly becoming more and more of the standard. That's allowed us to increase our profits tremendously.
All right, check it out. When you're watching these videos, we know that you guys have questions that aren't answered. Might be about business, might be about real estate. Well, guess what? We can answer all those questions that aren't getting answered in this video. So shoot us a text at 928-605-4335 because there's questions that need to be answered, and this dude and I will answer those questions for you. 928-605-4335. Shoot us a text.
Now let's jump into this building and I'll kind of walk you guys through exactly how it played out. This is a light industrial building. It's 4,197 square feet on 2.32 acres. This acreage is all fenced in. It's got a beautiful block wall with a powered gate and barbed wire around the fencing. The purchase price was $525,000. Our down payment was $131,250, and we got this on a seller finance. We did not have to go to a bank to secure a loan on this property. The seller carried this balance of $393,750 on a 25-year amortization term at 9% interest. So our payment is $3,304.34 per month. Now you're probably thinking, 9% interest, that seems really high. It is higher than normal. We did this deal like this because of time. We can go back to a bank and get this refinanced right now and get this rate and this payment lower, but we didn't want to go through the process to deal with underwriting and deal with whatever they were going to need from us to actually go and get a loan on the property. We wanted to close this quick, and we were able to come up with this down payment really easily. So the quickest way to close this deal with the remaining balance that was required, $392,750, was the sellers were willing to carry that loan. So we just put together a very simple contract that said they're going to carry this balance. It's going to be amortized over 25 years. We're going to pay them a 9% interest rate, and so their monthly payment that they get is $3,304.34. In this scenario, we brought in a partner to close this deal with this down payment. We didn't have to come out of pocket with any money. Our partner that we brought in saw how good this deal was going to be, and they were more than happy to put up the down payment because we already essentially had a tenant secured before we even bought the building. That's simply because we already did the work prior to buying this building. We've been building relationships with brokers. We've been building relationships with tenants that need space that fits this specification. 4,000 square feet on 2 acres. A lot of people, a lot of contractors are growing their businesses right now faster than ever before. I'm sure if any of you guys deal with contractors, you know that the contractors, they literally can't get to you same day or even within a week sometimes. You're being pushed out 1, 2, 3 weeks before they can come and do any work because they're so busy. And a lot of these contractors need more space. We are the landowners that are supplying them with the space to grow their business. We already had a list of people. We just reached out to our people and said, hey, we're about to buy this building. And during the escrow period, when we had the property under contract, we were already putting this building out to potential tenants to see if they were interested in leasing it from us. Within 15 to 30 days of being under contract, we already had a tenant with a signed letter of intent to lease this building. So we knew we need to close. The way that we got into this deal with no money in pocket, number one, we had a partner bring this money. Number two, we had the owners finance the remaining balance. Now the value add, the building was vacant. It wasn't being marketed for lease. It wasn't listed anywhere. This deal, it came across our desk the day before it was going to go on market. We knew the day it went on market, it was going to sell. It was such a prime location and it was such a perfect building in great condition. We didn't have to put in a bunch of money into deferred maintenance. All we had to do was secure a tenant to bring the value. What we ended up doing, the value adds here, number one, we secured a tenant. That was the biggest one because banks value commercial properties based off of the amount of money that property generates. It doesn't have to really do with comps or anything else in the area. It's based off of the income that that property is going to generate. We knew that if we went in and secured a tenant immediately, that is going to increase the value of the property. Then the tenant improvements, TIs. Those are the costs that normally would be passed on to us to get a building ready to lease for a tenant. The tenants that were going to go in this building, it was already basically in what's called gray boxes. That's just when the property is in such good condition. We don't have to go in and do a bunch of deferred maintenance. We don't have to fix ACs. We don't have to build out offices. We don't have to fix roofs. We don't have to reskin the buildings. This building was kept in great great condition, so we didn't have to put a bunch of money into making it good for a tenant. All the tenant improvements, some minor paint that the tenant wanted to do, they wanted an enclosed section to turn it into a warehouse, all of that were placed on the tenant. The tenant leased it as is. We didn't have to come out of pocket with any more money to get it ready for that tenant. That's not always the case, but this was just a smoking deal and an amazing building. That's not how it always plays out. This one did play out that way, so we didn't have to come out of money for a deferred maintenance. The current value would be rated at about $1 million. We paid $525,000 for it, and the day that we signed that lease, the building value jumps to $1 million. The bank, when they see this lease and how much we net before a loan payment, that's what they value the income off of. It's called a debt service coverage ratio. When you take your revenue, including triple net, and you subtract your property expenses, property taxes, insurance, management, maintenance, that number that's left over is compared to whatever your loan payment would be to a bank. Because of this scenario, our value would be right about $1 million. Now I'm going to kind of walk you through how the building actually broke down. The lease we secured, $7,275 per month, triple net. The base on this lease is $6,000 a month. We added $1,275 a month for property taxes, insurance, common area maintenance. The maintenance is directly taken care of by the tenant. We are never going to get a bill for any maintenance unless it's something absolutely major. That's not factored into our expenses because until it happens, we're not expending any money on it. ACs, roof damage, things of that sort. So the current expenses that we have are the loan payment, $3,304.34. Our property taxes, $614.08 per month. Insurance, $416.66 per month. And the management, $436.50. When you add up all these expenses and subtract it from this revenue, we have $2,503.42 per month of net cash flow that we are putting in our pocket. This deal required no money out of our pocket. We're making an infinite percent return just by pushing papers. When the time comes to refinance, we have two options. Number one, if we want to get our partner, the people that put up the money right here in this down payment, out of the deal, we can refinance for an amount that would pay off them and their money that they put in and pay off these sellers on a seller finance and then just have it all wrapped up in a bank note. Or if we want to keep this person or this group in the deal, all we have to do is refinance to get out of whatever the remaining balance would be in 1, 2, or 3 years, depending on how long we want to carry this note with the sellers. The reason I have property taxes and insurance listed here is simply because our tenants are not getting the property taxes or insurance in their name. That goes in our name and under our company. We pass these expenses off to them and it's reimbursed through the $1,275 added into this lease. That money is already reimbursed in the revenue that is generated at the top here. We have a lot of options with this deal. We can keep this note, let this sit as it is for as long as we want because we have this on a 25-year amortization term, or we can go back to a bank, cash out, whatever this would be. If you don't have an amortization calculator on your phone, I recommend getting one. This is gonna allow you to run numbers very quickly. I'm pulling up an amortization calculator right now. I'm gonna type in this loan balance right here, $393,750. The loan term, 25 years, and then that spits out a payment, $3,304.34. When I wanna figure out where we're gonna be, let's say 2 years, which is 24 months, I can click on a button on this app that just says monthly schedule. Now I can look and see in month 24, our remaining loan balance, because every time we make a payment, it's making a payment towards principal and it's making a payment towards interest. I know that in 2 years, if I want to go back to a bank and refinance this property, in month 24, I'm going to have a remaining balance of $384,552.32. So if I'm going to go back to a bank and cash out the sellers, I'm going to get a bank loan against this property for $384,552.32. In that scenario, our interest rate is going to drop because we're not going to be paying 9% interest. So our payment is going to drop and that's going to increase our profits.